How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of On the Line. Guys, great question I want to send your way. Should we start an officer, a new boot, in an area where the inmates are most restrictive, so a maximum security area, or should we start them in an area where the inmates have the least amount of restriction? Basically, introduce the rookie to this profession, and that's more of a minimum unit. Now, in a book I have coming out called Lessons I Learned in a Prison, there's a passage in there about, well, I guess you can't see it, but max or min. Can you see it? There you go. Where should we start our officers, max or min? Now, I would love to get your thoughts on this, so please hit up in the comments below. Tell us what you would think is better for a rookie officer, maximum security, minimum security. But I want to read you guys this passage. I'm probably going to try to influence your answer to what I want it to be. But again, guys, this is all opinion on my end. It's not fact. So this is just my thoughts, how it's expressed. I actually choose maximum, but there are some that actually choose minimum, and their reasons are just as justified. But I would like to give you my thoughts first. Now, guys, max or min, that's the name of this article here. Now, the first at the top of the passage is going to be a quote. The quote doesn't come from me. It comes from Sergeant R. Galvin. He's from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Here's what he says. New officers work in maximum security or administrative segregation learn valuable offender management skills and experience. Experience such as learning to recognize and handle offender aggression and manipulation attempts. It will also show the new officer when to write a report and when informed resolution is more appropriate. I love that. Informed resolution. It's like a discretion. Writing a ton of reports on an offender with nothing to lose will definitely show the new officer to choose his battles wisely while building his respect and stripes. Now, guys, at the very beginning of your profession, obviously you are going to be writing charges, but that's not going to define how you manage inmates. So especially if you're working on those maximum security units where they don't really care about those charges, you will develop some discretion. So I love what Sergeant Galvin says. Now, this is my thoughts now. I was asked a while back if I believe the rookie officers should best begin their career in a minimum unit where they can be introduced to the profession at a less restrictive pace, or should they begin their career at the highest and most restricted levels of security, that's maximum, where there is little room for error. For me, the answer is simple. A new recruit can best be cultivated at the highest level of practices. So for me, it's maximum security prison. And that offers a quick and immediate reminder of the potential consequences of their actions. Now, mind you guys, even though there's little room for error, they are going to be cultivated into this profession. They are going to have mentors and field training officers that are there to empower them, yes, but not to let them fail. That's the key. Not to let them make such an error that it's going to be detrimental to the safety and security of the facility. So again, they're going to introduce them to the highest level of practices, but balance it out with empowerment and an effort to cultivate. Some may compare this as throwing someone who can't swim into the ocean and wishing for the best. I would, of course, disagree. For me, sure, it may look and feel on the surface they're being thrown into the ocean. And that's like the maximum security setting in total disregard. But they're not being thrown in without a lifebuoy. That's why I mentioned team support and field training officers nearby. In essence, new staff are being empowered and supported at the same time. That's the balance. The choice for me to begin a new officer or staff member at the highest level of restriction or status is centered around the mindset of the inmates that will be in their charge. Be mindful. Nothing will ever be 100%, but for the sake of this discussion, let's lean towards where the majority would be. The inmates housed in the most restrictive environments, the highest levels of custody, may lean towards the mindset of being comfortable while spending their time behind the wall. Again, these are inmates that may have a longer sentence to complete or may be seen as more problematic. Either way, these inmates are usually the ones that are constantly searching for comforts to alleviate their higher level of restrictions. For correctional staff, this type of environment and these types of inmates present a great way to set the tone for the universal precaution needed, not just to survive every interaction with the inmate population, but to succeed in the corrections profession. We're talking about, guys, the foundation that sets your career. To be honest, it's a great template for staff because it's centered on the highest level of correctional practices that provides the best foundation for any correctional environment they may be assigned. So it's the highest level of practices. There's no room for complacency at this level of the game, and the standards required to meet the needs of the higher restrictive units are set at the highest level of safety and security. Again, with that said, learning at this level is a great way to begin one's career and set that foot forward in the best direction imaginable. Now, even though there will always be exceptions to the rules, one thing can be guaranteed. For those who believe it's best to start a correctional staff member at the lowest levels, now we're talking about minimum, in which the environment is the least restrictive and the inmates are more focused on transitioning out as opposed to remaining comfortable within, they may find themselves to be in fear of a mistake made at the highest level of restrictions by the new staff member. These mistakes are such that they can threaten the safety and security of the prison. Now, with that said, mistakes are going to happen. Trust and believe me, it's through mistakes and failures that we tend to grow the most. Instead of being fearful about new staff making a mistake and thus believing they must be introduced to this profession in a slow and controlled manner, trainers and supervisors need to be mindful that they will be alongside the new staff member. There's a mentorship there, guys. Training, cultivating. They will be investing time with the new staff member as they cultivate and mentor their growth and unity from those mistakes. With that type of support in place and the efforts being made to cultivate the new staff member, they can begin with the highest level of practices first. This creates a strong foundation that will truly balance the new staff member throughout their whole career in corrections. I believe the best foundation starts at the highest level of restriction. It gives staff a great tool to learn on as a default. These tools could guide them in less restrictive areas when the environment tends to be laxer due to the lesser amount of restrictions. And for those that disagree, maybe we can agree on this. Working at the highest level of restriction does teach the new staff how to say no and mean it. So that's my thoughts. I mean, that's how I'm complimenting the reason why I feel officers, new boots should start in a maximum security unit. But I would love your thoughts. Maximum, minimum, whatever the case may be. I'd love to hear how you justify those decisions so I too can learn by reading the comments. As always, guys, this show is on the line. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell is going to notify you every time I post up a video. Stay safe.